Garand Jeremy hat die Toblerone Schoki gestohlen und tut sie geheisselt behalten. Wir müssen unverzüglich ausrücken. Sie zurückerobern und unseren nationalen Stolz bewahren. Drop it! Drop it! You're safe. You can have that chocolate.
Meine Arbeit für richtig hältst. Ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin.
Ach, so ein Scheissdreck. Haben wir wieder mal Nazi-Gold gerettet.
Swiss neutrality, Swiss chocolate, Nazi gold. What exactly are the Swiss protecting with these amazing rifles? Today we're talking about the SIG 550, otherwise known as the STG-90, otherwise known as the PE-90. This is the Swiss service rifle. If you don't know anything about this, this is probably the finest produced service rifle in the entire world. There's a lot that went into the construction of this. There's a lot to show you. We're not going to mince words here. Talk is cheap. Ammo is sponsored by AAC or something like that. We're a little ahead of ourselves. Point is, guys, stay tuned as we talk about the finest rifle made for any military ever. Hey, come here, guys. This content is free. Did you know that? You actually don't pay for it. You pay for internet, but not for this stuff. Listen, this content is kept free by Primary Arms. Go and give them so much love. Let them know. Actually, I did get a screenshot from somebody sent them an email. They said, hey, Mike said I can get candy. And they sent a paragraph. They're like, oh, Mike's always joking around. I'm not joking around. Asking for candy right now. We don't know what they're going to say. You give them so much love. Great optics at a great price. The HEX1 is our favorite pistol optic. Love them. Email them. They love it. Probably not. And, of course, if you're looking to be more American, we have Henry Repeating Arms. You know what? With all the shooting that I've been doing, I just love a good old American-made lever action. Henry Repeating Arms are made in America or not made at all. You know what? It just feels good. Make some memories with you and your family, with you and your kids. Shoot a good old lever action. Just have a good time. They got something for everyone. And, of course, it's a secret, but henrythumb.com. We can't say anything more, but go and check them out. And if you guys are looking to get better at dry fire, what do we recommend, Connor?
Mantis. You'll love it so much, you'll even use it in your bathroom.
That's not the motto. And of course, if you guys are looking for ammunition, AAC, go check them out. We are using primarily 70 grain TSX for today's video, as well as some of the lighter grainages due to the twist rate that we have on this barrel. All that being said, let's get into it. Now, first things first, the STG-90, the Sturmgewehr 90, the PE-90, which is what we have right here, has a 20.8-inch barrel, nearly 21 inches long. So they are firing a 63 grain round from the Swiss military when they're fighting with these rifles. We have a very similar cartridge that was loaded by the exact same company that provides their military ammunition, and we're going to go ahead and chronograph it and see what type of speed we're getting off of this. If you love the M16, well, give it a little bit more length, and does size matter? We'll find out. Right here we have our chronograph. Let's go ahead and see what kind of speed we're getting off these rounds. Go ahead and fire first one right here. 3,021.5 feet per second. That is screaming fast. 2,956. 2,938. So we sit around just on the cusp of 3,000 with a 62 grain projectile, which is screaming fast. With a 55 grainer, even faster. This is phenomenal. If you're not familiar, the barrels on the SIGs, the Swiss SIGs, are incredible. They are a cold hammer forged WF barrel, and they are well known for their extreme accuracy. One thing that's always been interesting to note about the Swiss is that in older service rifles, they've been known to be exceptionally well made. From the K31, which we featured in our survival video, to the STG-57, and then of course to the STG-90. These weapons are all known for superior accuracy, superior fitment, superior QC. They are just all extremely well made, funded by all that weird untraceable money to the Swiss banks. Now, the first thing we're going to show you is performance in terms of a fighting rifle. This is 100% a fighting rifle, and you will see these used in a variety of different situations. Now, there are, of course, different lengths. We have the SIG 551, which has a 14.5 inch barrel, and then, of course, we have the SIG 552 / the 553 with about the 8.3 inch barrel. And then we also have the SIG 553 with the longer barrel that's about 13 inches. So there's a bunch of variations, but nonetheless, you see this as one of the main fighting rifles. We'll be starting off with a good old bill drill. That's going to be 6 rounds at 7 yards in under 2 seconds. To be clear, this is like our standard drill that's done. This is a very common fighting drill that you see within different militaries, just to make sure you can put something into the ground. Let's see how it works here. This is a combination of speed, accuracy, and controllability. What's the time?
1.29.
Nice. Okay. Let's give that one more shot.
1.52.
Nice. Okay. A little bit slow on the up right there. Okay. A zone's good. Let's give it one more shot.
Stand by.
Oh, sorry. Ready? Okay.
1.23.
Nice. The biggest thing I find with the SIG is that on my like 553s, I have an extended safety because I find that when I'm in the fighting stance with this rifle, they have a little bit of a hard time. So you see a lot of people will run it same side. That's what I tend to do. But it's fairly easy to change out these safeties. That way you can reach it with your firing thumb. That's my only kind of problem that's really slowing me down. We'll try safety off, and we'll see what my speed is on this guy.
1.32.
Nice. What are the split times on that? Let's see here. 1.7, about 1.6. So a little bit slower than what you see with an AR. And the trigger is definitely a little bit heavier. Sits at around 7.5 pounds. It is a military trigger. That being said, it is a nice trigger. It is smooth with a good, predictable let-off. So that's what we're seeing from that. That feels pretty good to me. We'll do a transition drill between the two. That's the only transition that we like on Grand Thumbs. Isn't that right, Sawyer?
Yeah. Shout out Gene.
0.41. Try it one more time. 0.39. Nice. Fast. Transition's quick. It is a long gun, but it's a handy gun and it feels good in the hand. So we done some of our close drills. We're gonna hop on this Barricade right here, do a little bit of work on steel. Then we'll show you how good this gun is at range for its accuracy. This is not the state of Idaho. This is the VTAC Barricade right here. So we're gonna be working down just our 3-lane windows right here on steel, just to show you maneuverability of the gun. We're gonna have to short socket to make it work. Did I miss that middle shot?
Yeah.
Round 2. You know what? I'm on struggle bus on it, but we're getting it done. So, gun is maneuverable. I'm definitely feeling it in terms of working off the Barricade. My biggest problem is the Picatinny right here. So this is a Picatinny adapter from Frontier Armory for using stuff other than the issued bipod, which is a piece of crap. This also allows rails to be added to the side for lights, pecs, all that kind of stuff. So that was getting caught up a little bit. That's not a problem with the product. It's a problem with me. So right here we have the 20 round mags. These are typically what you see issued with them. And talking to various Swiss soldiers, both instructors and grunts alike, the general consensus is that the 20 rounders are really great. They allow you to get lower for you know, shooting from the prone and stuff. But a lot of soldiers end up either procuring 30s or buying the 30 rounders. But we still have to show a little bit of shooting with them because it is a vibe with the 20 rounders on here. Now, here's the coolest part right here. So we've gone dry. Now what we can do is, because we have these two magazines clamped, we simply have to release the one, next one up, hit that bolt release, look at that, and then we're back in action. So, if you don't know, these mags are stackable if they have the locks on them. You can have a little extra bad boy on you. This is very common of a lot of European service rifles, and it's just cool. Now, another thing you can do with the P90 is you can also fire with the stock folded if you're a true badass. Okay, do you think I can hit steel? Just kind of. You come on, get over my shoulder. I think I can do this.
I believe in you.
Okay.
You'll be first team.
Not even aiming. First try. Oh. Got it. Okay, far.
Far.
So obviously with a project like this, we don't live in a vacuum. We had help from the Swiss military. We had help from Swiss soldiers and instructors. Frontier Armory imported this rifle. Big thank you to them. We also have to give a big thank you to Bernie. His @ for Instagram is Bush_Walla. Don't ask any questions. He was in the Swiss military, now in the United States military. So he's had quite the military career, and a lot of the finer details of marksmanship and training in relation to the 5.50 were had from him as well as other Swiss soldiers. So pretty cool. It's really nice getting on the ground information from guys who've used it for multiple years. So with all that being said, let's continue. So right here we have the SIG. We're firing somewhat long range. We're going to start at 350 yards, then we'll stepping it out to 500, and finally we'll end at 700. So we'll be doing the first two targets on here just using the red dot. After that, we'll switch to a magnified optic and we'll go for even further. These rifles are exceptionally accurate, and with military ammunition, they're expected to hold below an MOA, which is incredible for a military rifle. You compare this to like our M16, it does trounce it fairly well. So we'll give this a shot. We are firing 70 grain. This is a 1 in 10 barrel, so it's not the perfect grain weight for it. That being said, for whatever reason, this gun loves it and just is supremely accurate with it. So we'll just kind of continue going with what it likes. Now, because of the speed of the projectile, my drops and holds with a red dot are easy. So 350. All right, super easy. That was all with a red dot with no magnification. How'd that look on that camera, by the way? Look cool?
Right here look cool. I don't know about this one.
That's fine. Let's go ahead and move it up from the 350 to the 500. It's that middle target. All right, we're now at 500. Let's go ahead and see how we do. So with my hold, I'm at 100 yard zero, and I'm holding just above the target, about barely a length of the body. Impact. I think I hit the swinger in one of them.
I was about to say.
Did I?
Like it.
Yeah.
No, it's all about like luck. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't aiming for it per se, but I was not aiming for it. But the point is, guys, as you can see with the PE90, the STG90, this gun is insanely accurate. And I found that despite whatever type of ammo I throw at it, it just has no problem. It doesn't make any sense. The Swiss probably put some type of weird spell. That's true, right?
Yeah, no, they
You
are
spent
all
time in
wizards.
Germany, like they have spells, right?
Yeah, no, from my experience and my travels, they are magical.
There you have it, and this gun absolutely proves that point. Okay, we shot it to 500. We're gonna step out to 700. We're gonna throw a magnified optic on it, and we're gonna see what we can do with it. We're gonna have the old camera guy give this a shot.
Yeah.
Being recorded by his brother, funny enough.
Dude, full circle. Okay.
To try it at 350 to start, that bottom one.
Okay.
Just hold dead on.
Dead on.
Uh-huh.
We'll just pretend I hit the last one too.
That was really good. Now try 500.
Okay.
Just aim at the head on the 500.
Cool.
And back.
This is definitely me and not the gun, just FYI.
You're doing so good.
Oh, thank you. Am I actually hitting it?
No, you only hit the first shot.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Aim at the head. Give it. Nice. There you go. Got it.
Yeah, well, I should just quit when I was ahead, but...
You know what? Pretty good, buddy. Not bad, especially with the red dot shooting at 500. It's not easy. With iron sights, the soldiers are expected to be able to shoot well out to 400. No problem. And the diopter sights on there absolutely allow it. With an optic, these guns are shot out to 700. The Swiss are big on marksmanship, and that definitely shows with the construction of the rifle, as well as the specific construction of the ammunition that's used within Switzerland. So, all right, let's go to 700.
Grüezi.
All right, we're just at 130 right here. This isn't a hard shot at all. Just to show you guys how controllable this gun is. It's stupid easy. This is a really nice gun. Okay, let's shoot it far. So, it's cold. That was actually really hard. Before we shoot long range, we have to have some Swiss chocolate. But we're at 700 right here. We switched over to the Swiss ammo. We're at 62 grains on this, and we got the hold pretty well down. So let's try it out.
Jeez.
Okay, so we'll say not that bad at all. Connor, you want to give it a shot, dude?
Yeah.
You just have to take a bite of chocolate before you do it. Who taught you how to eat chocolate?
That's so hard.
Did you see the drool come out? Right here, we do have the element optic and a Scalarworks mount. I actually helped them design this 2 to 10. Love it, great reticle. But hold 2, dead center. There's no wind right now. Off left edge every shot. Come right slightly. A little bit more right. Too far right. Impact. Impact. Impact.
I had chocolate in my mouth the whole time. I was just like eating my chocolate as I was shooting. I feel like I was kind of moving around the reticle, but you know, it's all good.
So what happens when you play too much arc raiders? Or as we like to call it,
Twink Raiders. I'm gonna swallow the chocolate this time.
that's good.
Learning from his mistakes. Trying not to get too much cake on screen here.
I think we need to see just a little bit more cake.
All right, buddy, spot her up.
All right.
2 mils, no wind. Impact. Impact. Just under. Impact. 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 Impact.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so incredible performance. I think the best thing we can say about the 550, the STG 90, is that the recoil impulse on this guy is extremely nominal. It's very comparable to an M16. I would say they both sit in about the same level of recoil. It's pretty amazing on this gun. This is a long stroke gas piston. It's very much so similar to an AKM and AK-47. So for it to be able to, you know, keep that very nice recoil is just great for a combat setup. In addition to that, once this guy is dialed in, you could see that the repeatability is really good. Most guns, as you're firing, you'll see a little bit of variation, especially at distance. What you'll notice with the 5.50 is like those rounds are pretty much where you're pulling that trigger, where you send them is exactly where they're gonna go. It's a very satisfying gun to shoot, and you just don't get that with every build out there. So extremely good performance there. One other thing that we could say is that due to the AK-like kind of build quality that you see here in terms of the operating system, these do tend to operate very well in cold conditions. Now, it's not on the level of an AKM and AK-74, but it's very close, and there's something to be said for a gun that has the ergonomics and the accuracy to still be able to perform so well in the cold. So we've done a lot of shooting. Let's get a little bit of talking as we delve into autism. Now, we have done a lot of shooting. We're going to do a lot of talking as we delve into this gun full autism style. Now, the first question I'm sure you guys are going to say, or the first joke you're going to try to make at this point is, does it fire when we drop it? Great joke. However, wrong Sig Sauer. Understand that the SIG that we're talking about today is Sig Sauer AG, which is based in Switzerland, which is very different from Sig Sauer USA. Now, although they used to be the same company, although there are still strong roots, they both have made very different designs. We will be doing a video on the new 5.63 that has recently come out. We have one being imported right now in the original colors, which is cool. We have this rifle from Sig Sauer AG. What is our relationship with Sig Sauer AG? Nothing. We bought these rifles privately. We do own almost every variation of the Sig 5.50, from the 5.52 to the 5.53 to the 5.51. So obviously my autism has coursed me into collecting all these rifles, but understand there's no money, anything like that. We didn't have a chance to talk to the engineers about this particular gun, primarily to Swiss soldiers and to people who have used the 5.5X series of rifles in harm's way throughout the world. So let's do a little bit of a history lesson on the SIG 5.50 / the Sturmgewehr 90 / what we have right here, which is the PE 90, which is always cool to have something that is very original and hard to import because that just feels good to say it. You have to understand that Switzerland has always made extremely good service rifles, from the K31 and the STG-57 that we talked about before to what we have right now. So you have to understand, kind of going into this, that there is a long history of well-designed service rifles going into the STG-90 right here. And certainly they took a lot of pride in designing this rifle, and there were a lot of tests, a lot of refinement to make this rifle everything that it could be. Now, if you're not familiar with Switzerland, it is cold up there. Isn't that right, Sawyer?
It's freezing cold.
Can you give me a traditional Swiss greeting in Swiss German?
Grüezi.
There you have it. So understand, another thing is that Switzerland is neutral. So what we mean by neutral is that they don't participate in any of those active conflicts that occur. Most notably during World War II, they stayed neutral and were used as a diplomatic haven to nowadays. So we talk about Switzerland, we in every way talk about people who are defending their homeland, who are there's such a culture of marksmanship and protection of their country's assets and of their very special spot that they occupy within Europe, that there's a lot of pride taken in that military tradition. So let's go ahead and let's kind of break this down. So you have to understand that when they put out the tender to change the rifle, the Sturmgewehr 57 was a very legendary rifle, firing a very full-powered rifle cartridge, great for the Swiss Alps and for defending their territory. But as NATO began to standardize the 5.56, they saw a lot of merit in the 5.56 round, hence they had the STG-90 made. Now, the STG-90 does come off of earlier models, which were very similar in terms of operating mechanism, but somewhat different in visual appearance. We'll pop up a little photo there. We're not here to delve into a forgotten weapon set. What we're really trying to do is show you how this rifle actually performs. And when it comes to performance, the SIG 5.50 is perhaps the finest service rifle to have ever been designed, fielded, and exported, and I stand by that. This is one of my favorite rifles, and it is superior in almost every way to most of your service rifles that you see throughout the world. Now, obviously, in certain conditions, you're going to have other rifles that are going to be perhaps better reliability-wise, or perhaps more specialized rifles, not service rifles, that are more accurate. But rarely do you see the blend of reliability, accuracy, and consistency that you see with the STG-90. So, let's delve into this, let's break it down, let's look at it from a shooter's perspective with the help of various Swiss soldiers as well as others who have used this rifle. The SIG 550, the STG-90, is a long stroke gas piston system. It is typically selective fire. Obviously, the variant that we have right here is semi-automatic. Fires 5.56 from a detachable box magazine. They use either 15, 20, or 30 rounders. Another note on the magazines for the 5.50 series is, like many European magazines, they do have mag couplers, so you can attach your mags together to either make a quick reload or make a very funny picture with a bunch of mags attached to your rifle, whatever you might need. You will see that a lot of soldiers do end up kind of grinding these off if they're able, or they will buy the slick slide versions that do not allow for mag coupling, because as cool as these are, they're kind of a pain in the butt when you're putting them into a mag pouch on your actual carrier. They take up a lot more room than they should, so a lot of guys ended up kind of going away from those. Okay, we're going to start out here at the very end of the rifle. We're going to start with the muzzle device. The muzzle device is very A2-like, and I say that for my American audience, and I also say that because, well, the A2 did come out before the STG-90. So we have a very birdcage-like flash hider, very similar to the M16A1, which it very likely took some design input from, as well as other weapons that use a very similar flash hider. Now, compared to more modern birdcage flash hiders that are closed at the bottom, that's typically what I prefer, because I do find that these open birdcage flash hiders have a tendency to divert a lot of that gas into the ground when you're sitting prone. And if you know anything about fighting from the prone, or fighting from concealment, from cover, etc., when you have that open gas port in the bottom, you're going to push a lot of that dust out, snow, etc., can fling a lot of debris around, and ultimately helps give away your position. So it's not my favorite flash hider, although it is extremely good in the variety of conditions that you'll find yourselves in the Swiss Alps, where this rifle is primarily designed to fight from. So in terms of flash suppression, very good. In terms of kicking up dust, maybe not the best. Now, we move down from there to the barrel. The barrel on the 5.50 is legendary for a lot of reasons, but what's the best way to put it? The barrel material used is exceptional. It is a cold hammer forged barrel with a chrome lining. Now, their tolerances that they use are exceptional. Now, we combine this with the extremely long length. What's interesting about the 5.50 is that it is an extremely long barrel. Now, we've often said 20-inch, master race gang, referring to the M16A2 and A4s. But the SIG 5.50 sports a 20.8-inch barrel, nearly 21 inches. So, when we talk about the M16 Master Race, well, maybe 5.50 Master Race, because we have even more length. And this does have a tendency to push 5.56 rounds even faster. Now, from 18 to about 20 inches and 5.56, you're not seeing a huge leap in feet per second. So it's not a massive leap over the M16. But what it does do is the Swiss did nail the harmonics of the barrel extremely well. So obviously this barrel has a lot of things going on, so you might expect that perhaps this barrel would suffer from thermal dispersion issues as it heats up, or perhaps harmonics issues due to this, you can see the rifle grenade interface right here. However, the SIG 5.50, its barrel harmonics are extremely good. It's known to have very little dispersion as it heats up, and in addition to that, it's known to be precisely accurate. Now, this is due to several factors. So it might not look like it, but it does have a lot of the positives of a free flow barrel, even though strictly speaking, it might not be a free floating barrel. Now, in terms of the Swiss, they expect a lot of accuracy from their rifles. Unfortunately, the dispersion methods that they use to measure their accuracy aren't exactly translatable into MOA, or minute of angle, that we use here in the US or within other NATO affiliated countries. But we'll do our best to kind of show you what we get. In terms of accuracy from the 5.50, anywhere from 0.9 to 1.3 is very common. Online, you see a lot of soldiers using the kind of clapped out STG-90s that they have, and they typically say anywhere from 1.1 to 1.5, but they'll be quick to note that it's very easy to put all your rounds into a bullseye at 300 meters. That's kind of the standard by which the Swiss have long gone off of, which is what is your ability to put your rounds into a nice circle at 300 meters. The Swiss excel at this, and the Recoils excel at this. They don't measure it at 100, they measure it at 300, and these are dang accurate rifles. Just like you saw in the 700 meter shots with the 5.50, its dispersion is very low and its ability for quick follow-up shots, insane. Now, besides being an extremely accurate and extremely consistent barrel, it's also a very reliable barrel. These are known to go anywhere from 20 up to 30,000 rounds, with some military variants known to be getting all the way to 50,000. Now, this depends very heavily on the firing schedule of the rifle, whether it's used in auto or not, but it simply goes to show that the barrel materials used in the cold hammer forging process used in the production of the SIG 550 barrels is exceptional. And this is one of the main reasons why this gun is so good, is it has such a good barrel. Now, from there, we're going to move up to the gas system. This is what leads to the insane reliability that you see from the 5.50, the PE90, the STG-90 in cold environments. So they stuck with the long stroke gas piston system. Now, the reason for that is, if you're familiar with the long stroke gas piston system, you'll know that various firearms have used it throughout history, but perhaps most famously, the AK-47, the AKM. Obviously, those rifles are, you know, noted for their insane reliability in cold conditions. Noting this really good performance, they did a hybrid, so they do have a long stroke gas piston in them. Now, what's so good about the long stroke gas piston system is you do have a lot of mass. Now, this can be kind of a pain when you're shooting because there's more mass reciprocating every time you're pulling that trigger, which means that you're going to have a little bit more recoil compared to a direct impinging gun such as a M16. However, that extra mass helps in pushing through snow, dirt, mud, etc., especially lube. As the conditions get colder, that lube will begin to gum up and not move nearly as freely. This can shut a lot of the guns down in the cold. So we saw that just with some of our guns that we're using on a cold day. So that mass definitely helps. And in addition to that, the amount of gas volume that you get pushing that piston back can be very precisely attenuated based off of the two position selector that you have right here at the end. So we have a normal position and then we have an adverse position as the gun begins to choke up. In terms of the Swiss military and what they typically teach, it's that the gun should be shot normal. Once the gun begins to choke, push the adverse, that's going to allow for more gas in the system. Obviously, it's going to be wearing the rifle out faster, but due to the 20-inch barrel, etc., it's really not wearing out that fast at all. So this is a very legendary rifle based off that. Now, there is a disconnect that can be done between the bolt carrier group and the long stroke gas piston system when you need to take it down to begin to clean it. So that makes it far easier to clean and take down compared to an AKM, in my opinion. Now, from there, let's take a quick moment to talk about a few things that are important on this. First off, the Handguard. The Handguard is specifically designed to work well in cold environments and not get brittle and crack. You saw this a lot of early European firearms, and these handguards work extremely well. They also protect your hands from the heat, etc. There are obviously newer handguards available now, such as from B&T that are quad rails, but the original SIG 550 handguards work perfectly fine. Now, these do come with bipods. That bipods are generally considered fairly useless by the Swiss military men who use them, and they're either taken off, duct tape in place so that they can't deploy, just because no one really uses them. They're not adjustable, they're not particularly good, but they're there, which you might be able to say something about. So Bernie, who we've talked about before, devised this device right here, which replaces where the bipod goes, and it simply adds sections of Picatinny, whether it be on the bottom or on the sides right here, which it also has slots for. So you can add a much better bipod, you can add pecs, lights, etc. This is a pretty good product. We've been a big fan of it. Now, moving from there, you do have a sling attachment both at the front as well as at the rear of the receiver. Obviously, on this particular gun, we are using it at the back of the stock right here. We have a sling placed right here. We wanted to get it through the locking mechanism for a specific reason, but there are various ways to set up your sling that come from the factory for the PE90. Now, moving back from there, you can see on this handguard, we have this little nub right here. You might have the question, what is the nub for? So when you collapse your stock, it actually locks onto that little piece right there to keep it stowed. That way it's not going to come open when you're carrying this or doing whatever. So, in addition to that, if you notice, the charging handle clears the stock so you can actually fire it folded. So we showed it earlier, firing it from the folded position. It is very doable. And to release it, you simply give it a hard yank and it just pops right open. So that is nice in terms of being a professional soldier. Having been a professional military man myself within Air Force Special Warfare, I know I would have appreciated a lot of the small doohickeys that the SIG 550 has. It is a superbly made design. Now, moving up from there, the thing that we really have to talk about are the sights. Prior to the to optics being used on these platforms, or any rifle for that matter, the sights were a big deal. Now, the sights on the 550 are quite simply put, phenomenal, exceptional in every single way. The front sight is windage adjustable, and in addition to that, we have this hood right here that protects the inner front sight. This is very typical of military rifles. Now, the front sight is very precise, squared off, great for accuracy, and in addition to that, you might see this little nub right here. So when I flip that little nub up, it puts a little piece of tritium in front of that front sight. And if I have my rear sights set at 100, those also have tritium sights at the rear. So during night, you can use the tritium to aim and fire your rifle. Again, they want to make sure that this was ready for any situation that a soldier might find himself in. Now, if we move back to the rear sight here, it's very HK-like. We have the drum. So you have your 100 meter, you have your 200, 300, and 400. These are fully windage and elevation adjustable, extremely precise sights. In terms of what the soldiers use, a lot of them keep it on the 200 peep sight if they don't have optics on there. But again, this is also going to come down to soldier preference. I've been a big fan of the iron sights. However, a simple optic will make your life much better. So right here, we have an Aimpoint Comp M2 on this SIG 550, and it works extremely well. Now, the last thing that I kind of want to talk about before we get into the actual inner workings of the 550 is going to be the trigger guard right here and the magazine release. There's some interesting stuff when it comes to winterization of a gun that the Swiss have done to this. So first off, in terms of the magazine, you'll notice that it uses a lever, much like an AK, in order to lock its magazines into place. There are a couple reasons for this, but one of the biggest reasons is that under extremely cold conditions, the delicate magazine release buttons that you see that use Stenag mags, such as AR-15, etc., tend to freeze up solid and are unable to release the magazine. A simple lever release that you see on AKs or on the 550 right here is a much more reliable method of locking your magazine into place in cold conditions. In addition to this, the polymer that they use on these translucent magazines is extremely ice resistant and cold resistant with a tendency to not crack. The Swiss actually put this rifle through an insane battery of tests to see how to perform in various conditions. Obviously, the Sturmgewehr 90 SIG 550 is legendary in terms of its cold performance, and the magazines are a large part of that. You'll find that the magazine is often the failure point when it comes to this. In all their tests that they did, whether it be freezing rain, ice, cold, etc., any of the failures came primarily from the magazines, and that's what you typically see from most military service rifles if they're very well designed, that when you get a bunch of grit into the springs of a magazine, there's not really a whole lot that you can do at that point, so it makes sense. Magazines have always been a weak point when it comes to cold conditions for guns, etc. But we digress a little bit. Now, from there, we go to the trigger guard right here. Now, obviously, you think to yourself, how do I get my fat little fingers in here, especially during the winter? Well, it actually just clicks off to the side. So if you have winter mitten gloves on, you can simply get those big old fat mittens in there and you can shoot it. Certain guns have added like an extended trigger for extremely cold firing. And I do want to be very clear on one thing. The 550 is a very good cold weather rifle, but it is not the best cold weather rifle. And this is where we're going to talk about, you know, a little bit of comparison to some other European guns. So, like we said, this gun is extremely precise, robust, made like a Swiss watch, to use a common phrase. But there are other guns that perform better in cold conditions, most notably the AK series and the Valmet series. So the RK62, which is one of the standard rifles of the Finnish military, is legendary. I mean, it's basically a really nice AK, and it performed better than the 550 in terms of reliability in extreme cold conditions. Again, it's going to be conversation of what is the actual environment that you're in. If you know shit, live on the tundra like the Finnish do because they're crazy, you should probably get an RK92. If you live in the mountains, where it's pretty cold, i.e. anywhere in America except for Alaska, 5.50 is going to be great. So just understand that there are guns that are better in terms of cold performance. So we'll be doing an updated freezing rifle test with the 5.50 in comparison to some other military firearms, so you can see it for yourself. But understand there are limitations to the gun, no matter how good it is. Now, from there, we have the actual operating mechanism. The lockup is somewhat abbreviated compared to what you'd see in the AR-15, but extremely precise. So what they did specifically is they engineered things precisely where they needed to, and they allowed for more movement in parts that weren't required for accuracy. I know that's a mouthful. Let's talk about it for a moment. So in terms of the accuracy, a lot of it comes from the bolt and receiver extension block up. These are cut to absurdly precise standards. Now, we compare that to the internal diameters of the gas system itself or the rails, and there's a little bit more slop because it's mostly needed for the actual system to move. In terms of the lockup, tight. In terms of everything else, a little bit loose to allow a lot of that snow, mud, grit, dirtied up lube, all that kind of stuff to get pushed out of the way to ensure that the gun will continue to function. In addition to that, if we take a look right here, you'll notice that we have like a rubber gasket right here. Now, this isn't anything new. On a lot of AKs and stuff, for that full travel, you'll see that there's typically like a dust cover that works as a safety. In terms of the 5.50 and other guns, they have something to always keep that area closed. So on the 5.50, we have a little bit of rubber that's held in place by rivets. This can be replaced by a variety of companies, FYI, because obviously the rubber will eventually become embrittled, etc. So you should take care of it. Now, we can compare that to another equivalent European firearm, which is the FNC. So right here, we have the FNC. So we'll go ahead and pop that back out. Always loaded, right, Dems? So if you notice on the FNC, very similar, but if you notice, this is a spring-loaded dust cover compared to the rubber gasket. So as the weapon cycles, it pushes that up and out of the way and it pops back into place. So this isn't a new concept to have a dust cover that is somewhat closed by means of some device, but I think the Swiss perhaps did it best. Compared to the spring-loaded hinges, which can get gummed up and tend to jam as debris gets in them, I found that the rubber gaskets mostly stay closed and keep all that stuff out. When it comes to reliability in really extreme conditions, you'll find that the stuff that works best are guns that are sealed. Especially when it comes to mud, the AK tends to not do nearly as good as more sealed systems like the M4, SIG 5.50, etc. Because of the tight tolerances, they really don't allow an ingress of that foreign matter and those foreign particles. Because of that, they tend to last longer. Compare that to an AK, which has a big old gap at the back. We'll show that to you right now. So we compare that to an AK, you can see that long line right there that's open directly into the action of the weapon can allow more ingress of foreign material into there, which can shut it down. Now, in the snow, this thing does great. Otherwise, you might have a few issues. It feels so gross holding an AK and then going to a 5.50. I'm like, so uncivilized, don't touch me. So going into the system, we've talked about why it's so good, etc. Let's talk a little bit about the manual of arms when it comes to this gun. Now, there are a whole lot of different ways to do it, so we'll give you a couple examples here. One of the easiest ways to reload the 5.50 is obviously if you are not needing to go from bolt lock, because this gun does have last round bolt hold open. You can simply swap the mags if we have a coupled mag. So once I need to swap those mags over, I'm simply going to rock, rotate, and I'm back in, and I'm back in the fight. Now, in terms of having an actual reload that we need to use a bolt release on, let's show you what that looks like. So right here we have one of the 30 rounders. Go ahead and pop it in. It is empty, which means on the last round, it will hold open right there. Now, we have another 30 rounder. This is a slick slide. As you can see right there, it means it has nothing to couple the mag. A lot easier to keep in your kit. So once you are ready to reload, you're simply going to pull your new mag out, flip the old mag out. You're going to lock it into place. Now, there are two methods to release the bolt. I can either hit the bolt release right here, or if I'm left-handed, I can simply pull back on the charging handle and release it. In terms of what I do, I have a tendency to rock the mag in and then push that up. And now we have a loaded weapon. Pretty cool. Rose front mount ceiling at this point. Now, otherwise, once we're at bolt lock right here, by the way, you can push that down, lock the bolt back like I just did. You can simply rock it in and then load it that way. So there are several different ways to load the 5.50. Find the one that works best for you. And we're gonna pop back in the 20 rounders because, well, 20 rounders look cool. For whatever reason, the Swiss were big on 20 rounders, probably because you can get low to the ground when you're firing from the prone. Like we talked about, Swiss soldiers had a tendency to procure the 30 rounders to use those because obviously more ammunition, better. But we digress. Now, moving back from there, we talked a lot about manual of arms, talked a lot about a whole lot of stuff. Let's do a little bit of ghosting of the trigger right here. So we're going to flick that safety off. We're going to feel that trigger. Put your finger right over mine. It's a little dirty because we've been doing a lot of cleaning of guns. Ooh, that is so light. Okay, for a military rifle, extremely good. For in terms of like what you see from a Geisley SSAE, it's not on the same level. But for a military trigger, it is phenomenal. Okay, filling into that, we have about 5 millimeters of play. We hit that wall. Off that wall, that trigger is so light. So once you put through that wall, which is about 7 pounds, the actual let off on the trigger is nothing. It's a very bizarre trigger. There it is. So weird. Okay, let's feel that reset. It's about 4 millimeters, well, 3 millimeters forward. And then from that reset, you're about a 1 millimeter into the wall to release that trigger. Man, that trigger is light. So this is one of the reasons that Swiss soldiers are also known as being such good marksmen. In addition to such a good rifle, they also have a phenomenal trigger. I'm a big fan of a 2-stage trigger for any combat application. Being able to preload into that trigger as you're focusing on that target to let off that shot when you know you need to, that predictability is incredible. Such a good trigger, especially compared to the guns of the era. So amazing. So I've gushed enough about that. Okay, moving back from there. If you notice, the safety is 2-sided. So we have safety on the left side. We have safety on the right side. That's obviously for my left-handed shooters out there, but in addition to that, if you're shooting long range, a lot of shooters tend to utilize same thumb firing for release of that trigger. And the reason for that is there's less pressure on the pistol grip, less input for longer shots, so it's actually quite great. Now, another really cool thing is if you want to take this guy down, pretty easy, but it's also really ingenious. So these takedown pins right here, they won't release, they won't push through, unless you push this button in, and it releases a small spring clip right there that allows you to then push it through. So no matter what, those pins can't walk out on their own, which is really, really cool. We'll do that in the bottom one as well. So again, pushing in right here, that releases it, and then I could push that pin through. So once we've done that, lower comes off, and we have the upper. Now, if you notice, compared to most guns, if I simply pull back on that charging handle, nothing is happening. It does not come out. And the reason for that is the actual recoil spring on the 5.50 is around the gas tube on this weapon. So to release it, there's this little spring clip right here. You're actually gonna pull that down, pull that charging handle out, and at that point, that releases the bolt right there. How neat is that? Look at that. Just a little bit of Swiss ingenuity. And let's take a look at that bolt right there. So we'll get some close-ups of it right here. But it's a very interesting design. And if you look at it right here, what does it look a lot like? Well, it looks a lot like an AK bolt. And that's because very heavily based off there. You can see we have that original Swiss grease on there. Beautiful. This is just a superbly well-made piece of machinery right here. You can see how thick the tail is on that bolt right there. This, with its relief cuts already in there, this gun is just made to power through the crazy stuff that you can think of. In addition to that, the firing pin is spring-loaded as well. When we talk about just a good, well-designed combat gun, my gosh, the SIG 5.50 is 100% it. Get that guy back in there. And, sorry, we'll of course cut this out because I'm looking like an idiot. Beautiful. So that is the SIG 5.50. A little bit on the inner workings. We'll also pull out the gas tube so you can see what that looks like. as a quick note. One other thing that I should note is that there are a lot of makers of different gas pistons for the 550 that are made specifically for suppressor usage. So if you're looking to suppress the hull of your, 550, 551, 553, whatever, there are different products for that, as a quick note. We should also mention, once again, Frontier Armory, as far as getting something that's actually real. And then, of course, our good buddy Bernie for just putting in the work when it comes to it. Former Swiss soldier, just crushes it. So getting back here, we have the butt sock right here. I'm a huge fan of it. There are obviously adjustable butt socks as well. However, we wanted the fixed one for this particular video to get as close to the military rifle as possible. We should note that multiple firearm instructors who taught with the Swiss military and were in the Swiss military did switch out their butt socks to adjustable. And you can see that in Bernie's rifle right here. We've shown this photo before, but just so you guys understand. When I talk about the Sturmgewehr 90, the PE 90, I think the best thing I could say is that there are some things that don't make sense in terms of why the recoil on this weapon is so low. The long stroke gas piston system, the higher gases that's pushing through the gun, and yet time and time again the 550 just proves to be one of the lightest recoiling service rifles that I've ever shot. And this is, due to the weight. It is a heavier gun. This is due to how well and how precisely machined everything is, that it just has a tendency just to come straight back. And because there's no bolt bounce due to the long stroke gas piston system, it just settles right away. It just leads to an extremely pleasurable shooting experience. There's nothing quite like shooting a SIG 550. And man, if you can get your hands on these, I really have to say that you should. It's perhaps not just one of the best service rifles, but in terms of rifle overall, one of the best rifles. Now, one thing that we should note, there are multiple rails for this. You can see we have this extended optic rail, allows us to run like a night vision device out front or a longer optic, etc. How it works is it's a spring-loaded point that can be tightened down, and in addition to that, there's a little dovetail just up front here that the Picatinny mount slots into. And it's a very, very secure, highly recommended. B&T makes this one, but there are multiple companies that make them. I recommend B&T. Now, a lot of the 55X models nowadays do come with Picatinny rail already installed, so it might not be a big deal, but just understand that if you need it, that's where you get it. That's it, guys. That's a P90. One of the best guns out there in the world. That's saying a lot. So if you have the chance to get yourself a 551, a 550, or 552 or 3, do it. You won't be disappointed, and this gun will very likely outlast you and your kids because they are so well made. Plus, when you buy one, it's like you immediately love Swiss chocolate, and you kind of speak a little goofy. That's just life. So guys, thanks for tuning in as we talked about the SIG 550. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know we did. I've been waiting to do this guy for a long time, and just phenomenal in every way. Final thing for you guys, before we go, don't forget Patreon. Patreon has all the worst clips of me possible, and we have a good time. In addition to that, guys, don't forget a little last bit of advice, a little bit of dad advice for you guys. Paul Harrell said it best. I'm going to echo it. Floss. Man, if you don't floss, you're gonna see some pretty bad gum disease pretty quickly. Fluoride ain't helping you, so get out there, floss. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Take care.